Have you ever imagined a passenger airplane carrying a line of multi-million-dollar Bugatti supercars across the world? It sounds impossible. Most people believe only giant cargo planes can transport luxury cars like these. But today, something unbelievable is about to happen. A brand new Boeing 777-9, one of the largest twin-engine aircraft ever built, has been prepared for a once-in-a-lifetime mission. Every Bugatti is worth millions of dollars, every second of the flight matters, and one unexpected problem could destroy everything. Stay with me until the end because this mission becomes more dramatic than anyone expected. The sun had just started rising over the airport as the massive Boeing 777-9 stood quietly on the apron. From a distance, it looked like any ordinary test aircraft wearing Boeing's famous blue and white colors. But today was different. Around the aircraft stood security teams, engineers, mechanics, and aviation experts, all watching every movement carefully. Parked nearby was something even more extraordinary. A perfectly straight line of identical metallic blue Bugatti Chiron supercars stretched across the airport ramp. Each car looked like a piece of art. Their polished bodies reflected the morning sunlight, making them sparkle like diamonds. Every Bugatti had been inspected, cleaned, and prepared for transport. Moving these cars wasn't simply about driving them into an airplane. Each Bugatti cost millions of dollars. Even a tiny scratch could cost thousands to repair. Every inch mattered. The Boeing 777-9 had been selected because of its incredible size, advanced technology, and powerful GE9X engines. Although the aircraft was originally designed for passengers, today's mission imagined a unique luxury transport operation unlike anything ever seen. Engineers slowly guided the first Bugatti toward the aircraft using laser alignment systems. Drivers moved at walking speed. Spotters stood on both sides giving hand signals every few centimeters. Inside the aircraft, the cabin had been transformed into a secure transport area. The luxury seats had been removed in this fictional demonstration, creating enough space for several Bugatti supercars. Heavy-duty floor supports and custom locking systems ensured every vehicle would remain perfectly stable during flight. One by one, the Bugattis entered the aircraft. The process took hours. No one rushed. Precision was more important than speed. When the last Bugatti was finally secured, everyone stepped back to admire the incredible sight. Millions of dollars worth of automotive engineering now rested safely inside one of the world's most advanced passenger aircraft. Outside, ground crews disconnected the loading equipment. Fuel trucks completed the final refueling process. The flight crew climbed aboard. Inside the cockpit, everything looked futuristic. Massive digital displays lit up the flight deck while the captain and first officer carefully reviewed every checklist. Electrical systems? Checked. Flight controls? Checked. Fuel quantity? Checked. Navigation? Checked. Every system reported normal. The captain looked out of the cockpit window toward the endless runway. Weather conditions looked almost perfect. Visibility exceeded 10 kilometers. Wind remained light. Temperature was ideal for takeoff. Everything suggested an easy departure. But aviation has one important rule. Nothing is guaranteed. Ground control cleared the aircraft to begin taxiing. The enormous Boeing slowly started moving. Even with several Bugattis inside, the aircraft rolled smoothly across the taxiway. Airport workers stopped to watch. Passengers inside the terminal pressed their faces against the windows. Few people realized they were witnessing something completely unique. As the aircraft approached the runway, the captain performed one final systems check. Hydraulic pressure. Normal. Brake temperature. Normal. Engine instruments. Normal. Cabin pressure. Ready. The tower finally transmitted the words every pilot waits to hear. Boeing 777-9, cleared for takeoff. The captain gently pushed the thrust levers forward. The GE9X engines began producing incredible power. Within seconds, the sound echoed across the airport. The giant fans accelerated smoothly. the aircraft started rolling faster. 50 knots. 80 knots. 100 knots. Everything remained stable. The first officer continuously monitored engine performance. Every number stayed exactly where it should. 130 knots. 150 knots. The runway rushed beneath the landing gear. Finally, the captain gently pulled back on the control column. The nose lifted. Seconds later, the world's largest twin-engine passenger aircraft climbed gracefully into the sky carrying one of the most valuable collections of Bugatti Supercars ever imagined. Cheers erupted inside the control tower. Ground crews watched until the aircraft disappeared into the clouds. Inside the cabin, every Bugatti remained perfectly secured. No movement. No vibration. Everything worked exactly as planned. The flight climbed through 10,000 feet before turning toward its international destination. The captain switched off the seatbelt sign, even though there were no passengers on board. The cockpit became calm again. Autopilot engaged. Cruise climb initiated. Fuel consumption remained lower than expected thanks to the aircraft's highly efficient composite wings and advanced engines. The crew finally relaxed. For a few minutes. Then something unusual appeared. The first officer noticed a small warning message flashing briefly across one of the engine monitoring displays. It disappeared almost immediately. No alarms sounded. No caution lights remained active. Everything looked normal again. Still, experienced pilots never ignore unusual indications. The captain requested a detailed engine status review. Every sensor appeared normal. Oil pressure. Normal. Temperature. Normal. Fuel flow. Normal. Vibration. Within limits. Nothing seemed wrong. Maybe it had only been a sensor glitch. The flight continued. Far below, mountains, rivers, and cities slowly passed beneath the aircraft. The Boeing 777-9 cruised effortlessly above the clouds at high altitude. Inside the cargo area, technicians remotely monitored every Bugatti using vibration sensors attached to each vehicle. Every reading remained perfect. Humidity. Perfect. Temperature. Stable. Vehicle restraints. Locked. The mission looked like a complete success. But hundreds of kilometers ahead, weather radar operators had started tracking something unexpected. A rapidly growing storm system was forming directly along the planned flight path. At first, it seemed harmless. Then it expanded. Within minutes, the storm stretched across hundreds of kilometers. Powerful thunderstorms. Severe turbulence. Heavy rain. Lightning. The dispatch center immediately contacted the aircraft. The captain examined the weather display. Bright red storm cells covered almost the entire route. Going straight through was impossible. Flying around would require additional fuel. Returning wasn't practical. Every option carried risks. The crew carefully calculated new flight plans. Meanwhile, passengers at nearby airports began experiencing delays because of the same storm. Commercial flights diverted in every direction. Air traffic controllers suddenly became extremely busy. The Boeing 777-9 requested a route change. Approval came quickly. The aircraft turned slightly south. For nearly 30 minutes everything improved. The skies became clear again. Sunlight reflected beautifully from the aircraft's enormous wings. The crew believed the difficult part was over. Then, the weather radar updated again. Another storm cell had developed directly ahead. Even larger than before. The captain stared silently at the display. This wasn't in the forecast. The first officer zoomed in. Lightning symbols covered the screen. The nearest diversion airport was still hundreds of kilometers away. Fuel remained sufficient. But only if every decision from this point forward was correct. One mistake could force an emergency landing. And inside the aircraft sat millions of dollars worth of Bugatti Supercars that absolutely had to arrive safely. The captain took a deep breath and studied the weather radar one more time. The giant storm continued growing, with red and purple cells spreading across the screen. Flying directly through it was no longer an option. The crew contacted air traffic control immediately and requested another deviation. Approved. Turn 30 degrees right. Maintain present altitude. The Boeing 777-9 banked gently to the right. Even with its enormous wingspan, the aircraft responded smoothly. Inside the cabin, every Bugatti remained securely fastened. The monitoring system showed no movement at all. For the next 20 minutes, the flight remained stable. The crew believed they had successfully avoided the worst weather. Then the aircraft suddenly encountered light turbulence. The captain switched on the seatbelt sign out of habit. A few seconds later, the turbulence became stronger. The massive wings flexed naturally as they absorbed the changing air currents. This was exactly what they had been designed to do. Lightning flashed several kilometers away. Rain began striking the windshield. The aircraft entered a layer of dark clouds. The first officer carefully monitored the engines. Both GE9X engines continued producing steady power. Oil pressure remained normal. Engine temperatures stayed well within limits. Despite the rough air outside, every critical system continued operating exactly as designed. Suddenly another message appeared on the display. This time it remained visible. A minor sensor fault. The captain quickly checked the aircraft manuals. The message indicated a faulty sensor rather than an actual engine problem. Even so, the crew decided not to take any unnecessary risks. They reduced speed slightly to lessen structural loads while passing around the storm. The giant aircraft remained calm and stable. After nearly 40 minutes of careful flying, the clouds finally began to disappear. Bright sunlight returned. Blue sky appeared ahead. The entire cockpit became brighter. The captain smiled for the first time in almost an hour. We're through. Behind them, the storm slowly faded into the distance. Ground control confirmed that the destination airport was reporting excellent weather. The crew finally relaxed. Fuel calculations looked good. Arrival time remained almost exactly on schedule. Several hours later, the Boeing 777-9 began its descent. The destination city appeared beneath the clouds. Highways stretched toward the horizon. Skyscrapers reflected the afternoon sunlight. The airport came into view. Air traffic control cleared the aircraft for approach. The landing checklist began. Landing gear. Down. Flaps. Set. Auto brake. Armed. Spoilers. Armed. Everything looked perfect. The aircraft lined up with the runway. Its enormous wings remained steady despite a light crosswind. At 50 feet above the runway, the captain gently reduced thrust. The main landing gear touched the runway with a smooth, satisfying landing. Moments later, the nose gear settled onto the pavement. Reverse thrust activated. The huge GE9X engine slowed the aircraft confidently. Within seconds, the Boeing exited the runway. Cheers filled the cockpit. Ground vehicles escorted the aircraft toward the parking stand. Airport workers had already gathered to witness the unusual arrival. News photographers aimed their cameras. Aviation enthusiasts watched from observation areas. As the aircraft stopped, the engine slowly shut down. Silence returned. Ground crews connected external power. The aircraft door opened. Engineers carefully inspected every securing point before unloading began. One by one, the metallic blue Bugatti Chirons rolled out of the aircraft. Each one looked exactly as it had before departure. Not a single scratch. Not a single damaged wheel. Not a single loose component. The operation had been a complete success. The airport staff applauded as the final Bugatti reached the ramp. Photographers captured images that would soon spread across social media. People around the world could hardly believe what they were seeing, a giant Boeing 777-9 standing beside a perfectly aligned row of identical Bugatti Supercars. The mission demonstrated not only the incredible size of the aircraft but also the precision required in modern aviation. Although this was a fictional showcase inspired by aviation possibilities, it highlighted the advanced technology of the Boeing 777-9, from its powerful GE9X engines to its efficient composite wings and sophisticated flight systems. Every successful flight depends on thousands of carefully engineered components working together. Every pilot relies on training. Every engineer relies on precision. Every ground crew member plays an important role. That is what makes aviation so remarkable. As the sun began setting behind the airport, the blue and white Boeing 777-9 stood quietly once again. Its mission was complete. The line of Bugatti Supercars reflected the golden evening light, creating an unforgettable scene. For everyone who witnessed it, this was more than just another airplane. It was a symbol of engineering, innovation, and the endless possibilities of modern aviation. And perhaps somewhere in the future, even bigger aircraft will push the limits once again, carrying cargo that today seems impossible. Until then, the Boeing 777-9 remains one of the most impressive twin-engine aircraft ever created, proving that with the right technology, careful planning, and skilled professionals, even the most extraordinary missions can become reality.